Listen, it's time to go back to the basics. Lost the fundamentals and now we are hard to play with. Acting super brewish but westernizing our thinking. Culture over kingdom.
Alright, shalom family. Welcome to the Shah Dabah Perspective. And today we're going to talk about, should African Americans vote? Should black people vote, right? So we're going to look at a debate between Roland Martin and Jason Whitlock that happened a few years back. So we're going to watch the debate and then discuss on the two opposing views. All right, so let's go right into the video.
Historically, when you look at the city of Atlanta, when in 1973, 0.0012% of all contracts, and Maynard Jackson runs. And Maynard Jackson, by virtue of being the mayor of Atlanta, literally changes the course of history for African Americans. He used it through politics. He used the two terms as mayor to change. Coleman Young in Detroit, Mary Berry in D.C.
I don't believe it. I don't believe in politics. I really don't.
So the issues you often talk about, how do you actually say politics has no role in that?
Excuse me?
The issue that you talk about, say we should be discussing or dealing with.
I'm talking about me. Now, I'm not giving you the advice, hey, you gotta follow and believe what Jason Whitlock believes. I'm not advising anyone that. I'm talking about me. There's certain things unique in my personality.
But if you don't vote, aren't you part of the problem?
If you might argue that.
No, I'm asking. Because
you might. I don't believe that. No.
So of the things that are happening in our world.
Well,
I agree with that. I don't believe that if you don't vote, you're part of the problem. To me, that's a foolish statement to make, because there's so many things you can do for your community other than vote, right? That's impactful and that can make change. But let's keep going. Let's continue.
Any number of issues. If politics is involved in it, well then, how can we change something for the good if we don't vote for someone who we think will be able to make changes?
Because I think politics, the way it's constructed now, is always going to let you down. I think that there's so much dishonesty and corruption in politics that I just don't personally involve myself in it. What I believe in, what's best for us as African Americans, is an allegiance to God. I believe that is our salvation.
An allegiance to God.
Now, I agree with this wholeheartedly. We need to get back right with God first. So before we think about putting people in place to help change laws and change the infrastructure of our community, we have to get the foundation together first, which is getting right with God, getting right with Yah, the Most High, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? That is the solution. And I also agree with Jason Whitlock when he said that politics are corrupt. This is very true. I've read many books that talk about the sliminess of politics and just the background of a lot of presidents and a lot of different people within, the realm of politics, right? In the realm of government that have CIA ties, that are tied with secret societies, that are tied with all of these wicked things, right? And so we see that politics are very, very, very corrupt, right? And I believe that it's that voting for these people and waiting for these people to change the trajectory of America is just so far-fetched to me, right? So I do believe that politics are so corrupt that we shouldn't be looking at them as our savior. So let's keep going.
Far more than politics.
You do know politics also deals with God.
We have replaced religion with politics. We have an addiction to politics right now. We as black people, we talk about politics from Obama to Trump the way we used to talk about God, and I think it's inappropriate. It's our constant, everyday conversation. This is part of my problem why I can't stand Twitter and social media. There's a disconnect. It's one of the most secular places you can actually be. I think if you go look at the Asian American community that has had a lot of success here in America, it's not through politics. It's through an allegiance to themselves and taking care of themselves. That's why I think we've lost course as African Americans.
Have Asian Americans had the same history as black folks in America?
I don't think they've had the same history, but I think they've had issues in America, and I think they've addressed their issues by gathering up in their own communities, supporting each other, and supporting themselves, and they're not as heavily involved in politics. I think there was a time when we needed to be heavily involved in politics. There were laws on the books that prevented us from pursuing happiness and liberty and things in America. I think we went through that time in the 60s, 50s, 60s, maybe part of the 70s. Again, I'm not suggesting to the rest of Africa that you disassociate yourself from politics, but I think we've overdosed on it. And we think our solutions are political. I don't.
Well, first of all, it's not solely political, and also, but it's a whole bunch of people who have lots of God, but also have no plan. The reality is here. We can show the timeline of the role that politics has played in actually making our community a better community. But not only making our community a better community, also making our lives in America better. To act as if somehow that's irrelevant is crazy.
I didn't say it was a suggestion for Roland. This is my personal opinion.
So, let's say your top 3 issues. What are they?
For African Americans?
No, your top 3 issues. So, whether you want to be for black folks, everybody, what are the top 3 issues?
The number one issue I think facing the African American community is our breakdown in family. And I would couple that with our distancing ourselves from religion. I think those two things go hand in hand. Until we fix the black family and until we get right back with God, nothing good is going to happen for us.
But when you
Ding, ding, ding. And that is the problem in our community. Not voting, not who's in power, that right there. Our disconnect from God and the breakdown of the family, right? That is the foundation. If the family is broken up, if we don't have a good standing with God, we will not be in good standing. We will always be plagued with curses. Once again, I believe that many African Americans over here are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We were there on Mount Sinai. We were one of many different groups of people that were there at Mount Sinai that said, I do, or I will, to all the commands of God, to the covenant that we made with God. We were there. We said, I will. We said, I will do, right? I will do all that you say. All that you say, I will do it, right? So now it's our job to continue to follow the God that we said that we would serve. And we have not been doing that, right? And so if we are not good with God, if we're not following the commands of God, we will continue to live out the curses that are written out in Deuteronomy 28, right? So we have to be cognizant that, so we have to realize that we have to get right with the Most High, and the family needs to get back together. No matter how much politics you put in place, if the family's not right, I don't care how pretty you make the house, but if the foundation's off, the house will still break down. Let's continue.
Bible study. There are numerous.
As soon as they leave church and Bible study, they go straight to politics. They turn on cable TV, and they have an addiction to politics.
You do know we had religious leaders in the 50s and 60s who were also heavily involved in politics.
Get it? We had laws on the books in the 50s and 60s that drastically needed to be changed.
We still have laws on the books that actually were set during those times that still have to be changed. The Florida Restoration voting initiatives right now dates back to a law in the 1880s. The governor of Virginia, who won Terry McCullough, when he wanted to extend voting rights to formerly incarcerated, all 13,000 at one time, the Republicans said, no, you have to do it individual. That dated back to a 1902 law where the lawmaker said on the floor, we are doing this to keep the darkies from voting. And so the reality is to act as if somehow politics does not still have to hurt us, or we somehow can't interact with it.
Didn't say that.
So, but again, though,
I said for me, I don't involve myself in politics.
So when you look at the issues,
my number one issues were.
I said for three. You said
I really only have two.
You said the family and the black church.
Family and spirituality. We have disconnected from God, and it's a mistake.
Well, I would argue, especially as somebody who's the husband of a minister, and in terms of the folks who I also see, that significant number of us who are very much there with our religion, but I think there are a whole lot of us who also love to talk about what is happening in our society, and frankly, are sitting on their behinds and not voting when they can actually impact it. See, I know there are politicians who are good people. There are people who are there to do the right thing.
If you go study the history of the planet, if the family's not connected, nothing can grow from that. If the family's not together, nothing can grow from that. And so we can put all the laws we want on the books.
Yeah,
but if our families are in disarray and our children are being raised by grandmamas and aunties and cousins and things like that, nothing is going to happen. And as long as we are disconnected from God, nothing good will happen.
But here's what I also realized. There, a long time, for a whole lot of us, have been connected to God, have been praising and worshiping, and all of that. And we are still being broke. We are still being locked out. You can be the most holiest of holy person, and you can be on a job, and somebody can make a decision that, nah, you ain't getting promoted. You can sit here and lay hands and heal people all you want to, and you can still encounter that. What I am saying is, we can actually do both at the same time.
Now, here's the thing about the whole, we've been praising God for a long time. We've been worshiping and praising and praying and laying hands, and it ain't working. You know why? Because we're worshiping a false God and a false religion. I hate to be blunt, but this is what it is. Call a spade a spade. We are not following Torah. We are not following the God of the book. We're not following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're not. So the curses are going to continue to follow because we're still not doing what we're supposed to do. We're still following man. We're still following preachers. We're still following traditions that were built, right? That were built in this Western society, that were built, right? Not for the benefit of our people. We're still following those same traditions. So we do not hooping and hollering. We in the church. We doing all this stuff, but it's not the true God. Let's continue.
I'm looking at, and I talk about in terms of what is happening. I think if anybody who reads Dr. King's book, Chaos or Community, Where Do We Go From Here, what he laid out in that book, where he talked about the institutions that can play a critical role in saving Black America. He said the Black church, he said the Black press, and he said the Black professional organizations, which includes fraternities and sororities, because of their infrastructure. He dealt with religion, but even Dr. King understood, right in that book in 1967, that we can be as holy as possible, but there are still other aspects of our lives that we must contend with. And to act as if politics and community, you can even say save our community. My parents were founders of our civic club. That's still politics. Because who picks up trash and who cuts down overgrown lots and who tears out crack houses? That's politics.
To me.
Now, I will say for that point, I do agree with Roland Martin. See, when we think about politics, it's not just about the government. It's not just about voting. It's also about community building. So, yes, I do agree that politics can also be called community building. So if I want to build STEM programs, if I want to give more resources to kids, if I want to build more Bible study groups and build this and do that, I can do that without voting. So yes, politics and God can go hand in hand in the right manner, if you use it the right way. So not talk about government and God, but just community building and God should go hand in hand. If you love God, then you should love community building. You should love building up your community, building up your neighborhood, building up wherever you're from, wherever you're at. You should want to build that up, right? Because the Torah endorses that. The Torah endorses giving to the poor. The Torah endorses, loving the stranger, loving the foreigner. The Torah endorses all these different things, right? As far as making sure that, everyone from the highest of the highest to the lowest of the low have what they need to have a sustainable life, right? The Torah endorses that. So yes, when it comes to, community building and worshiping God, it should go hand in hand. So I do agree with Roland Martin there that you can do both at the same time, right? As far as building community and worshiping God. But I don't necessarily think you need to vote, though. You can do all this stuff on your own. So let's continue.
Family and God and family are the foundation for any healthy community, any healthy group.
So what do you do?
The foundation's no good. You can stack all the politics on top of what you want. It's going to collapse.
Okay, so what do you do then? So to answer this question, what do you do if you're that family and his mama and dad. And they are holy people. They love God and they serve God. But their kids still go to horrible schools. They also are living in areas where you don't have economic opportunities. They are a nuclear family, loving it together. But this is the inside of the house. This is the rest of the house. How do you deal with that?
I'll tell you how to deal with that, Roland. When you have a strong nuclear family, you can be able to overcome obstacles easier than people that have unstable homes. So, because here's the thing you got to understand, whether black, white, green, yellow, purple, whatever your color is, human beings go through obstacles in life, right? That's just part of life. Every human being has obstacles. But when you have a strong family foundation, you now know how to overcome obstacles. But when you come from a family that's in disarray, mama over here, daddy over here, just everything is chaotic, then you do not know how to deal with obstacles, right? You don't know how to deal with them. And it's harder for you to go through life. But yes, when you have a strong family, you can then go into the world and deal with the obstacles that you're faced with. So even then, let's say you are a poor family in the hood, but you're a strong family. You can deal with the rigors of the hood, right? I've seen it many times. Folks coming from hard backgrounds, but you have your mama and daddy, they love you, they teach you the right thing, and you are successful, right? I've seen it. So let's keep going.
I think
If politics doesn't matter.
I'm not saying that I didn't say politics don't.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, so if you have this black family that's together, and they love each other, and then they're praising God, and they love God. But then when they step outside of their house, they're still dealing with an economic reality, and an education reality, and a social reality. Who changes that? How is that family?
Individual, I know many families like that. Most of my friends come from families like that, and I know how we made it and moved forward. And so again, if you come from, and I came from parents that were divorced, but I know where my grandmama had me, and I know where my mama had me, and I know what they planted in me. And so again, there will be obstacles in life, but if you really have a spirit-filled life and a God-filled life and the right kind of family support, you can overcome those obstacles right here in America.
But again, when you are dealing with all those realities outside of the home, there are folks who say, I still got to deal with that. I got to deal with it every day. Everybody does. Well, no, but again, but again, I think holistically is how we look at it. I think it's frankly naive to think that, well, if it's just this is coming from somebody. Parents were married 51 years. Okay, still together, 5 kids, 4 went to college, all of that. But we still are looking at what happens when we still are operating in this society that goes beyond our church, that goes beyond our family, and the stuff that we got to deal with. That's still there.
And Roland, I think life is full of challenges for all human beings. That's just the way that it is. Life is unfair. Life is hard. What do you do to limit the ability for racism or whatever the obstacles are to impact you moving forward?
How do you limit that? How do you limit that?
I think how did me?
How would
through education, through self-responsibility, through accountability for myself, to taking care of myself and not making irresponsible decisions that make it so when I face an obstacle, I'm able to overcome it.
So, yes, I think that was a really, really good debate over if we should vote or not. 2 really interesting perspectives. I would lean more towards the Jason Whitlock perspective than Roland. Roland has some good points as well, as far as you can be able to do both, community build and praise God. And I also obviously agree with Jason Whitlock that the foundation, right, should be family and God. So I think my takeaway from this debate is that, and it's just my perspective, is that I don't think voting is important, right? I believe that we should get the foundation right first. We have to get right with the Most High Yah, and we have to build the family back up to where it needs to be, right? We have to get ourselves together first, get the foundation right, and then we can work on government and what laws to put in place and what to do this, and this. Because I don't care what law you put in place. I don't care what you decide to implement. If we are wicked, it's not going to work. So we have to get back to a righteous place, a righteous standing, get back into the good graces of the Most High Yah, and then we'll work on all that other stuff, all that good old stuff as far as trying to get the government in place, right? So that's just my take. That's the shot of our perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, right? This has been a shot of our perspective. Love y'all. Thank y'all for your support. I'll holla.